Hi, would it surprise you to know that I diagnose behaviours more than words? So, what do I mean by that? When you're in clinical practice, I have been trained to literally watch and observe and assess and make clinical assessments or judgments, not moral obviously, but assessments on how you are behaving. So I have an expression which is our behaviours shout louder than our words. Let me give you a really good example of this. So very often if you are someone that is self-aware, or your instinct is highly tuned, or you're very intuitive, or you're just very conscious, you'll ask someone a question and they'll say yes or they'll say no to you. And you actually just instinctively know that that's not a match with their behaviours. Or we can all be slightly passive aggressive. We can, there are a whole cartoon series for a long time of a sort of a long marriage, and the husband or the wife would go, "Pass me the salt, darling." And so the word darling is supposed to be endearing, and the aggression was not endearing. So our behaviours really do shout louder than our words. And if you really want to improve your well-being on a mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual level, you can start watching and noticing your behaviours. And so this theme at the moment that we're doing is all about our behaviours, and particularly the behaviours around your winter season. So I can assess the state of your kidneys or your bladder, which is associated with your winter, and what we call your water energy. So your internal fluid, your internal water systems, by your colour, your sound, your odour. Obviously not if I'm on Zoom, but in clinical practice, colour, sound, odour, or emotion, and then behaviours. So I'm just going to leave you with these thoughts, and I want you please to be kind when you answer the questions if you want to. So we haven't done a quiz, but we're going to ask you these questions. Do you know whether you intimidate other people, or in fact, are you reassuring? That's one. 2, are you someone that is too trusting in your behaviours with, in fact, yourself or other people? Or are you very, very distrusting and suspicious? Number 3, are you, and I've now forgotten it, are you, yes, this is a really good one. Are you somebody that tends to be really driven, or do you have no drive? And then the last one is, are you somebody that actually is quite adrenalized in their lives? Are you someone that feels alive when you're taking risks? So do you unintentionally spook the hell out of your friends and family by constantly seeking the next quite risky thing in business, maybe your hobbies? Are you someone that takes risks, or are you somebody that really assesses risks, but you are constantly imagining actually what is going to go wrong, so you will not allow yourself to take calculated risks? Now, I've done those 4 sets, and the truth of our lives and the paradox is that we can, on some levels, be risk takers, and inappropriately so, let's say, but equally we can be really cautious. So when you're in clinical practice, it takes a long time to be trained to be able to really help someone help themselves. But this is one way of beginning to bring to your attention how you yourself can change your behaviours, and that will change your lives sometimes quicker than trying to change your attitudes. And I know that that is a very different way of looking at things. But if you know you are somebody that, for instance, constantly pushes too hard with your drive and your willfulness, you can make a decision, and a decision is an energetic intention. Okay, it's not about attitude. You make a decision and your behaviors start changing. So, what would that look like for you? Because this is an amazing way of changing your well-being. So I did a video, I think a couple of weeks ago, about my willfulness. I was somebody that was very driven. There was stuff that happened in my childhood that taught me to be very aware that I wasn't safe. So I learned to be very, very willful in attempting to get away from situations that weren't safe. Now, that was appropriate then, but it wasn't appropriate later on in my life. So I had to change my behaviours, not my attitudes. I had to change my behaviours. And no amount of willfully wanting my behaviours to change was going to change with changing my attitude. I actually had to change my actions. So changing my behaviours has been a much faster way to get at how I wanted to choose to live my life. And I wanted it to be very different. I didn't want to be so willful. I didn't want to get myself continually into scrapes because of my willfulness. It's so easy to say that it's someone else's fault or it's something on the outside. But the great news about this particular form of medicine is that I can change and you can change your behaviours, which impact your well-being and also impact your chronic circumstances or conditions, rather than actually using your will to change your attitude. I hope that really makes sense to you. It's a huge distinction. And I'm going to be, the whole theme around this is going to, I hope, really give you some very important tips for how you can begin to observe your behaviours and then take action to change them. Take care. Bye.